had to look my own mortality in the eye. I had to come nose to nose with death.
Just so many ups and downs and so many unknowns. I mean, yeah, cancer is, I call it a full-time job.
I think what I'm more determined to do than ever is just follow my bliss. Just go to what I love doing.
James Van Der Beek, the golden boy of Dawson's Creek, who once symbolized wholesome teen drama, just dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming.
From the cast to the crew to everybody who's donated time and been so generous, and especially every single last one of you.
For years, Hollywood painted him as the clean-cut poster child of young love and small-town innocence. But behind the scenes, it looks like things weren't nearly as perfect as they seemed.
It's really just all about following my heart and going towards the things that I know will light me up on some level, that I feel I can contribute to.
Now, after decades of silence, Van Der Beek has revealed a shocking truth that's got fans questioning everything they thought they knew about him, his career, and even the beloved show that made him famous. Was Dawson's Creek hiding a dark reality all along? Let's break it down. On September 22nd, the cast of the 90s teen drama sensation Dawson's Creek reunited in New York, but one face was shockingly absent. James Van Der Beek, forever remembered as Dawson Leary, was forced to sit out what fans are calling the once-in-a-lifetime reunion. And the reason? A devastating health bombshell that left the audience stunned. Van Der Beek, who revealed in the summer of 2023 that he was battling stage 3 colorectal cancer, claimed in an Instagram post that 2 stomach viruses kept him away from the event. But fans couldn't help but notice the timing and the heartbreaking undertone in his words. Despite every effort, I won't get to be there, he admitted. I won't get to stand on that stage and thank every soul in the theater for showing up for me and against cancer when I needed it most.
I've been looking forward to this night for months. And
Instead, Lin-Manuel Miranda was brought in to literally replace Van Der Beek on stage, stepping into Dawson's shoes to read the pilot alongside Michelle Williams, Katie Holmes, Joshua Jackson, and Busy Phillips at the Richard Rodgers Theater. While some fans were delighted, others slammed the move as disrespectful to the original Dawson, who has been fighting for his life behind the scenes. Van Der Beek did appear in a pre-recorded video, but the sight of him shocked many. Wearing a newsboy cap, a plain white t-shirt, and a brown jacket, he looked visibly thinner, sparking whispers online about just how serious his condition might be. I can't believe I'm not there. I can't believe I don't get to hug my beautiful cast in person, he said, his voice breaking. He called the fans the best in the world before closing with a jab at his absence. Obviously, on Dawson's Creek, I had no understudy. But this is Broadway, and I needed one. But it was Van Der Beek's family who stole the spotlight. His wife, Kimberly, and their 6 children took his place in the theater, with daughters Olivia and Amelia leading an emotional rendition of Dawson's Creek's iconic theme song, I Don't Want to Wait. The moment left the crowd in tears, but also asking hard questions. Was this just a heartfelt gesture or a symbolic farewell?
I can't believe I don't get to hug my castmates, my beautiful cast in person, and just, I wanted to stand on that stage.
Adding fuel to the speculation, Van Der Beek has remained cryptic in interviews. Miracles do happen, and they happen all the time, he told People in November 2024. But fans now fear his optimism may be masking a much darker reality. One thing's for sure, James Van Der Beek just dropped a tragic bombshell that has left Dawson's Creek fans worried, heartbroken, and wondering what he isn't telling us. James Van Der Beek has never shied away from sharing pieces of his private life, but his ongoing cancer battle has left fans, critics, and even some in Hollywood divided. The Dawson's Creek actor shocked the public in November 2024 when he revealed he'd been diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer, a revelation he admitted he'd kept hidden for over a year.
It was the first time any of us had seen him really in a long time, and his physical appearance differences were undeniable.
At 46, Van Der Beek said the diagnosis blindsided him. I'd always associated cancer with age and with unhealthy, sedentary lifestyles, but I was in amazing cardiovascular shape. I tried to eat healthy, or as far as I knew it at the time. For months, he'd brushed off early symptoms, thinking it was just a matter of tweaking his coffee habits. When a colonoscopy revealed cancer, he said he went into shock. What's raised eyebrows, though, is how long he chose to keep this from the public. He first experienced symptoms in summer 2023, but the world didn't hear about his condition until late 2024, after, notably, he'd already filmed projects and appeared on red carpets. Some have praised his desire for privacy. Others are asking harder questions. Why wait so long? Why frame the reveal as a carefully curated media, exclusive in people, rather than an unfiltered admission?
There was an audible gasp in the room. People were surprised to see him looking so thin. We don't know a whole lot about how James is doing aside from what he has told us.
Since going public, Beek has leaned into transparency, but on his terms. In July 2025, he told Today, "I'm feeling great. It's been a journey. There are just so many ups and downs and so many unknowns. Cancer is, I call it a full-time job. It'll probably be a process for the rest of my life." The comment sparked debate. Was this genuine honesty or a way of softening grim realities with Hollywood polish? The cracks in his narrative became clearer in September 2025, when fans expected him to join his Dawson's Creek castmates for a charity reunion. Instead, he announced on Instagram that he couldn't attend after catching 2 stomach viruses. "I'm gutted," he wrote, but to some, the excuse didn't sit right. Was this really about stomach bugs or a subtle admission that his health is worse than he's letting on? And if that's the case, why the secrecy now?
When he announced he was dropping out, he said he had 2 back-to-back stomach bugs, and that could be the reason for the clear weight loss.
Beek himself admits that not knowing is one of the hardest things. He has openly described cancer as a constant mental battle, where every treatment, every symptom sparks the question, is this helping or hurting me? But for someone who claims to want to raise awareness, critics argue his carefully timed reveals seem more like controlled PR moments than raw advocacy. Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that Beek has spoken of being cautiously optimistic, while continuing to act, give interviews, and post idyllic family life content with his wife Kimberly and their 6 children. Supporters applaud his resilience. Skeptics see something different. A man determined to project strength at all costs, perhaps even to the point of downplaying the severity of his illness. The biggest controversy, though, is what he hasn't said. Colorectal cancer, particularly at stage 3, carries major long-term risks, recurrence rates, and lifestyle impacts. Yet Beek has largely sidestepped specifics about his treatment, his prognosis, and what healing actually looks like for him. Is he pursuing aggressive therapy, alternative treatments, or a hybrid of both? Fans don't know, and that silence has fueled whispers that his story isn't being told in full.
On August 31st of last year, I became one of the many, many millions of Americans and people around the world who found out I have cancer.
"I have a lot to live for," he told People in his first interview about the diagnosis. "I've been dealing with this pretty much in secret for a while, but more than that, I really wanted to raise awareness. But raise awareness how? By keeping the details vague, framing himself as an inspirational survivor without digging into the ugly truths of cancer, or by drip-feeding updates that blur the line between personal vulnerability and celebrity branding. James Beek's cancer journey is undeniably human, painful, and courageous. But it's also become a case study in how Hollywood filters tragedy, balancing privacy, publicity, and personal brand. And as fans continue to rally around him, one uncomfortable question lingers. Are we seeing the whole story, or only the parts he's ready for us to know? When James Beek first went public with his stage 3 colorectal cancer diagnosis, he made one thing very clear. He wouldn't be discussing the specifics of his treatment. To People, he admitted, "If you've heard about it, I've probably touched on it. This has been a crash course in the mastery of mind, body, and spirit. I thought this is either going to take me out of the body, or it's going to teach me how to truly live in it."
If you've heard of it, I've probably touched upon it. This has been a crash course in mastery of mind, body, spirit. This is either going to take me out of the body, or it's going to teach me how to truly live in it.
The line sounded profound, but it also raised eyebrows. Colorectal cancer at stage 3 is not something people usually battle with vague affirmations alone. Standard treatments involve grueling chemotherapy, radiation, and often surgery. Yet Beek has stayed vague. No mention of treatment cycles, no talk of side effects, no acknowledgement of the brutal toll these procedures usually take. Supporters say that's his right. Skeptics wonder, is this conscious privacy or strategic omission to maintain maintain an image of resilience, his family narrative too has been heavily spotlighted. The actor, who shares 6 children with his wife Kimberly, Olivia, Annabelle, Amelia, Gwendolyn, Joshua, and Jeremiah, made headlines when he revealed how he told his kids about his diagnosis. "Our approach was just to be as honest as possible, as honest to the degree of their understanding," he told Today. He described kids bringing him tea, asking, "Dad, what do you need?" and framed the process as a shared journey.
Which as a father is like heartwarming and also devastating. Because again, I'm super dad, right? I'm everything to everybody. I can be your chauffeur and your coach.
But here's the uncomfortable truth. To some observers, these anecdotes feel less like raw confession and more like curated optics. The image of children brewing tea for dad, the sound bites about honesty and love, are they authentic? Probably. Are they also Hollywood scripted moments designed to keep the public invested in his story? Almost certainly. The same applies to how he's used cancer to reshape his parenting philosophy. On Jana Kramer's Wind Down podcast in March 2025, Beek declared that his diagnosis taught him and his children that they are worthy of love just for being them. It's a noble sentiment, but also a conveniently Instagrammable one.
Fall in love with storytelling again. And to fall in love with being an artist and being creative and wanting to collaborate with other creatives.
And Instagram has indeed become central to the Beek cancer narrative. For Thanksgiving 2024, he posted a glossy family photo of their celebration, captioning it with a gushing tribute to his wife. "I'm more grateful than ever to my superhuman wife who has shown up on levels I never knew possible, who has shown me what unconditional love is and the magic that comes from that. I am in awe of you, Kimberly." It was heartwarming, and yet, critics note, perfectly timed. Coming weeks after his diagnosis was revealed, the post doubled as both a family update and a public relations reassurance. James Beek is strong, supported, loved, and still in control of the narrative. What gets lost in this glossy storytelling are the gritty realities of stage 3 cancer. Where are the details about chemo nausea, radiation burns, surgical recovery, and mental collapse? Why are fans only shown the filtered, teachable moments and not the nights of fear, pain, and breakdown?
And I think I went into shock a little bit. At the time, I didn't feel like I had enough information to panic because all I knew was that it was cancer. I didn't know what stage it was. I didn't know if it had spread.
The truth may be simple. Beek is fiercely protective of his image and brand, but by cloaking his cancer story in curated family optics and vague spiritual mantras, he's left a gap big enough for controversy to creep in. Is he truly raising awareness or just raising engagement? That's the question his fans and his critics are starting to ask. On his 48th birthday in March 2025, James Beek didn't just blow out candles. He dropped a bombshell. In a raw Instagram video titled "What Cancer Taught Me," the Dawson's Creek star confessed that the past year had been the hardest year of my life, but fans couldn't help but notice the darker undertones in his message. He admitted that cancer forced him to look his own mortality in the eye and stripped him of everything he thought defined him: actor, husband, father, provider. "I could no longer be a husband who was helpful to my wife. I could not be a provider because I wasn't working," he revealed. For some, it sounded less like reflection and more like a cryptic confession. And then came the twist. Beek insisted that even at his lowest, he was still worthy of God's love, simply because I exist. To some fans, it felt like a spiritual breakthrough. To others, it read as a man hinting at secrets much bigger than just a health battle.
There's a part of me that felt like maybe I wanted to break down and fall apart, but then a more logical part came in and said, well, you just don't have the information yet. You don't know what this is.
But here's where things get even murkier. While undergoing cancer treatments in 2024, Beek somehow managed to appear on The Masked Singer in 2025, hidden under the Griffin costume. The big question buzzing online: how did a man who claimed he couldn't pick up his kids or support his family suddenly find the strength to perform on a nationally televised competition show? Some fans are applauding his resilience, while skeptics are whispering that the timeline doesn't quite add up. Beek himself admitted he hadn't sung in public in years and was nervous about performing. But insiders are wondering, was this really about proving himself to his kids, or about keeping his name alive in Hollywood while he fought something much bigger behind the scenes? And just when you think his story ends there, he drops another career twist. In May 2025, Beek announced he was joining Reese Witherspoon's Legally Blonde prequel series Elle as Dean Wilson, a mayoral candidate with something to hide. Fans immediately noted the irony. Beek playing a polished politician at the very moment his own own public narrative seemed full of unanswered questions. Even Reese Witherspoon jumped in on Instagram, commenting, "Yes, best news ever," but some Hollywood watchers are skeptical. Was this casting coincidence or careful image rehab?
Really,
Maybe the me at
behind the
home with
scenes.
my kid is the bizarro world man. This is the real.
Exactly. Like the narcissistic guys.
Yeah.
Then came his return in Sideline 2, Intercepted reprising his role as Leroy Leahy. Again, he framed it as a great escape from the weight of his illness. But gossip circles are buzzing. If he truly had to come nose to nose with death, how is he suddenly juggling singing competitions, TV shows, and movie sequels? Behind the inspirational quotes and family moments, there's a growing question mark around Vander Beek's journey. Was this really just a story of survival, or is there more going on than he's letting fans see? In 2017, James Vander Beek stunned the world when he shattered the squeaky clean Dawson Leary image and admitted that he had been ulted by powerful older men in Hollywood. For years, he had been the face of teen innocence and boy next door purity, but his confession ripped the curtain wide open, exposing the darker, predatory underbelly of an industry that thrives on silence. The revelation came at the height of the Harvey Weinstein scandal, when Hollywood's dirtiest secrets were finally being dragged into the spotlight. Suddenly, the open secret of predatory power wasn't just whispered about. It was being tweeted, published, and screamed across headlines. But Vander Beek's story hit differently. He wasn't a struggling no-name actor desperate for fame. He was Dawson. He was the heartthrob of an entire generation. And if he wasn't safe from predators, who was?
I got a job to do 2 days on As the World Turns when I was 17, and I worked 2 14-hour days, and I made $800. And then the union rep from AFTRA.
Vander Beek took to Twitter to share his painful truth, admitting, "I've had my grabbed by older, powerful men. I've had them corner me in inappropriate sexual conversations when I was much younger." With those words, he broke the myth of Hollywood being a dream factory and exposed it as something closer to a nightmare machine, one where silence and shame were currency and power was everything. He added that he understood the unwarranted shame, powerlessness, and inability to blow the whistle that so many victims feel, pointing directly to the toxic dynamics that kept predators untouchable for decades. His confession was raw, honest, and deeply unsettling, but it also ignited controversy. Because unlike Terry Crews, who named Adam Bennett, and Anthony Rapp, who publicly accused Kevin Spacey, Vander Beek didn't name names. He left his abusers faceless, shrouded in mystery. And that's where the firestorm began.
Do what he does and accomplish what he needs to do on set, but he's also looking out for everybody and assisting everybody else and just setting it up so that other people can spike it down.
Fans and insiders started whispering, who were these older, powerful men? Were they still working in Hollywood? Were they still controlling careers, producing movies, and casting fresh young actors? The unanswered questions turned into a frenzy, and some began accusing Vander Beek of doing exactly what he condemned, protecting predators by staying silent. The timing only added fuel. Vander Beek's tweets directly referenced Weinstein, calling his actions criminal and unacceptable in any industry. He stood in solidarity with women coming forward, yet he stopped short of exposing his own tormentors. To many, this made him a brave voice for male survivors, a demographic often ignored in conversations about abuse. To others, it looked like hypocrisy. How could he point fingers at the system while keeping the individuals who victimized him safely hidden behind the Hollywood veil? And then came the industry spin. Weinstein's lawyers pushed statements claiming his encounters were consensual. Rumors circulated that Weinstein was plotting a comeback after his so-called rehab for sex addiction. The idea that one of Hollywood's most infamous monsters could dream of reclaiming power made Vander Beek's silence feel even more unsettling. If one giant had fallen, how many others had slipped through the cracks because people with platforms chose not to name them?
I knew he was an he was proud of that.
Here's where the controversy deepened. Was Vander Beek protecting himself or protecting them? Some argued he was avoiding lawsuits, career suicide, or worse, retaliation from a machine known for destroying anyone who steps out of line. Others weren't so forgiving. They accused him of using his trauma for attention while refusing to hold the guilty accountable. And in the cutthroat gossip mill of Hollywood, a darker theory emerged. Maybe his abusers were too big to name. Studio heads? Directors still running billion-dollar franchises? Media moguls with enough power to bury him 6 feet under a blacklist? The chilling part is this. His silence meant they could still be out there, still in control, still working with young actors who, like Vander Beek once was, are vulnerable, hungry, and eager to please. What started as a brave admission turned into one of Hollywood's messiest mysteries. By speaking up but not fully revealing, Vander Beek forced the world to confront an uncomfortable reality. The predators who shaped him might still be shaping Hollywood itself. It was a rare moment when America's former teen heartthrob became the face of something far more sinister, a system that doesn't just break careers, but breaks people. And now, years later, one question still lingers like a bad taste in the industry's mouth. Which powerful men are still hiding in plain sight? In September 2025, fans were buzzing with anticipation for what was billed as the ultimate nostalgic event, a Dawson's Creek reunion for charity. It was supposed to be a night of laughs, tears, and heartwarming memories. But instead, it turned into the James Vander Beek no-show scandal. Just hours before showtime, the actor stunned fans by pulling out, citing not one but 2 stomach viruses. To soften the blow, Vander Beek recorded a brief virtual cameo, apologizing for missing the event. But the explanation only raised more eyebrows than it lowered. 2 viruses at the same time? Fans weren't buying it. Social media erupted, with one side defending him and another openly mocking the excuse. Tweets and TikToks flooded in. 2 viruses? That's not bad luck, that's bad PR.
It was stage 3 colorectal cancer.
The skepticism came fast. For many, it felt like Hollywood's oldest trick, a vague illness rolled out whenever a star wants to avoid the spotlight. But for others, the incident was far more worrying. This wasn't the first time Vander Beek had quietly backed out of public appearances. Suddenly, whispers grew louder. Was this really about a stomach bug, or was he covering up a much deeper health battle? After all, Vander Beek had already admitted 2024 was the hardest year of his life, hinting at a serious health crisis. Pair that with his shocking 48th birthday confession about staring down his own mortality, and fans started connecting dots. Gossip blogs went further, speculating that his condition could be worsening, and that he may be avoiding cameras altogether to keep the public from seeing how frail he's become. Then came the harsher criticism from industry insiders. A few unnamed voices hinted that maybe this wasn't about health at all. Maybe Vander Beek was dodging the crushing pressure of reliving his Dawson's Creek days in front of a live audience. Hollywood, after all, has a long history of stars bailing on commitments when they feel the heat. Some critics accused him of protecting his image more than his health, calling his absence a PR move wrapped in sympathy. The result? What should have been a glowing reunion for a beloved cast ended up clouded in controversy. Fans left the event not only disappointed, but divided. Some worried for Vander Beek's life, others rolling their eyes at what they saw as another celebrity excuse. And now one question lingers over his career like a storm cloud. Is James Vander Beek really fighting a private health battle? Or is this just another Hollywood performance? In 2019, James Vander Beek shocked audiences with one of the rawest, most polarizing moments in reality TV history. Competing on Dancing with the Stars, the former Dawson's Creek star broke down live on air, revealing that his wife, Kimberly, had suffered a miscarriage just 48 hours earlier. The announcement was gut-wrenching. His voice cracked, his body shook, and the ballroom went silent. Viewers at home were stunned, not just by the tragedy itself, but by Vander Beek's decision to expose it on such a flashy, glitter-filled stage. Was it courageous, or was it crossing a line? While many fans applauded him for speaking openly about an issue so often hidden in silence, critics accused him of exploiting personal grief for sympathy votes. Some even argued that ABC milked the moment for ratings, airing close-up shots of his devastation like emotional clickbait. Overnight, Vander Beek went from the grieving husband to the reality TV controversy everyone was debating.
We're going to turn now to the GMA cover story. Actor James Vander Beek sharing a brave message about miscarriages. The Dawson's Creek star revealing he and his wife have experienced 3.
And then came the twist that made the moment even more controversial. Despite being a frontrunner and consistent top scorer with partner Emma Slater, Vander Beek was eliminated in the semifinals that very night. Fans erupted online, slamming the judges and producers for what felt like emotional whiplash. How could they showcase his heartbreak so publicly, only to boot him off the same episode? The elimination fueled conspiracy theories. Some claimed producers had already planned his exit and used his tragic confession to maximize shock value. Others suggested Vander Beek's vulnerability had backfired, with critics in the ballroom seeing it as too much drama for a dance competition. Either way, the night blurred the lines between reality TV and real life in a way that made even seasoned viewers uncomfortable. Outside of the show, Vanderbeek's personal life only deepened the narrative. He had already spoken about another miscarriage Kimberly suffered in November 2019, and later revealed she had endured 2 more, both devastatingly late into pregnancy, at 17 weeks or beyond. The revelations painted a haunting picture of repeated loss, grief, and resilience, making him one of the few male celebrities to speak so openly about miscarriage, but the backlash never completely died. Some critics argued that Vanderbeek had made a spectacle out of something sacred, while others insisted that his willingness to share was a rare act of honesty in an industry built on smoke and mirrors. Love him or loathe him, the moment cemented Vanderbeek as a star who doesn't just blur the line between personal and public, he obliterates it. And maybe that's why his DWTS confession remains so unforgettable. It wasn't just a dance show moment. It was a Hollywood reminder that behind the smiles, sequins, and spray tans, the pain of real life doesn't wait for the cameras to turn off. In recent years, James Vanderbeek has undergone one of the most dramatic transformations of any 90s heartthrob. Once remembered as the dreamy, wide-eyed Dawson Leary, he has reinvented himself as a health crusader, his life forever altered by a private war with stage 3 colorectal cancer. After staring down death itself, Vanderbeek began using his platform to sound the alarm on a disease that is increasingly striking younger adults. To many fans, it felt like Dawson had finally grown up, no longer a teen idol, but a man with a mission to save lives. But as with everything in Hollywood, not everyone is applauding. Supporters hail him as brave, turning unimaginable pain into purpose. But skeptics argue there's more at play here, that his health advocacy doubles as a very public rebrand. His tearful Instagram videos, glossy magazine interviews, and even rumored brand partnerships have made some question whether his openness is purely altruistic or whether it's also a carefully curated survival strategy in an industry notorious for discarding aging stars.
I had to look my own mortality in the eye. I had to come nose to nose with death.
The whispers got louder when reports surfaced that certain campaigns tied to his advocacy came with hefty sponsorship deals. Critics began asking a sharp question: is Vanderbeek raising awareness or raising his profile? One gossip blogger even put it bluntly: when your cancer journey comes with a hashtag, an endorsement, and a photo shoot, how much of it is activism and how much is marketing? The controversy hit a boiling point in September 2025 during what was supposed to be a triumphant Dawson's Creek reunion in his honor. Just one day before the event, Vanderbeek pulled out, claiming not 1 but 2 stomach viruses had knocked him out. Fans who had traveled for the nostalgia-fueled night were crushed, and the excuse triggered a social media firestorm. Many wondered aloud if this was simply another cover for his ongoing health decline, or worse, if his cancer was spiraling faster than he was letting on. Others dismissed the 2 viruses line as classic Hollywood spin. Behind the public drama is a harsher truth. Vanderbeek's cancer diagnosis in August 2023 forced him to strip away the very identities he once clung to. All of those definitions that I cared so deeply about were stripped for me, he admitted. Husband, father, actor. All of it was eclipsed by the new reality of being a cancer patient. By November 2024, he revealed his diagnosis publicly, confessing he had already been living with the disease for over a year. He admitted he almost missed the warning signs: slight changes in bowel movements, dismissed as nothing more than coffee or cream. By the time doctors delivered the verdict, Vanderbeek was in shock. His reality shifted overnight, and so did his relationship with fame. Interviews, awareness campaigns, and speaking out on the stigma of men's health became his new stage. And for many survivors, his candor has been life-saving.
Woke up the next morning like I hadn't woken out of a bad dream. And that's, I think, when it really weighed on me that I was in for a process I had not anticipated.
Still, the duality remains. To fans, he's a warrior bravely sharing his scars. To critics, he's a celebrity who has mastered the art of turning crisis into narrative, grief into branding, and pain into spotlight. And perhaps that's why his advocacy stirs so much debate. In Hollywood, where authenticity and performance are often indistinguishable, Vanderbeek stands at the center of a new kind of paradox: the hero and the opportunist all in one. Love him or doubt him, one thing is undeniable. James Van Der Beek has ensured his story won't be forgotten. And whether it's through saving lives or salvaging relevance, he's not stepping out of the public eye anytime soon. For millions of fans, James Van Der Beek will always be Dawson Leary, the wide-eyed dreamer who symbolized innocence and possibility in Dawson's Creek. But in 2024, the curtain dropped on the fantasy and reality came crashing in. Van Der Beek revealed that the financial toll of battling stage 3 colorectal cancer had become so overwhelming that he had turned to a surprising, and for some, sobering source of income: merchandise sales. The actor launched a line of Varsity Blues throwback gear, t-shirts, hoodies, and limited edition memorabilia, tapping into the nostalgia of his 1999 football flick. At first glance, it seemed like harmless fun, a playful nod to one of his cult roles. But underneath the branding and retro designs was a harsher truth. This wasn't about celebrating his career, it was about survival. Fans were stunned. Many praised his transparency, admiring that he refused to sugarcoat the brutal reality of medical costs. "If Dawson's Creek's golden boy can struggle, anyone can," one fan wrote online. For them, Van Der Beek's hustle was proof that he wasn't hiding behind Hollywood illusions anymore. He was showing how devastating illness can be, even for someone who once lived in the spotlight. But the backlash came just as quickly. Critics and gossip blogs seized on the revelation, calling it humiliating and even desperate. Questions swirled. How does a man who headlined one of the most iconic teen dramas of the 90s end up selling hoodies to pay hospital bills? Was it a brutal indictment of Hollywood's disposability? How the industry chews up its stars and discards them when the shine fades? Or was it a case of poor financial planning, bad investments, and overspending finally catching up with him? Industry whispers didn't help. Rumors suggested Van Der Beek had once dabbled in questionable investments and may have struggled to manage his income after the Dawson's Creek years. Others hinted at the more universal but equally damning truth. Even celebrities aren't immune to America's broken healthcare system. Behind the glamour, six-figure medical bills can level anyone, famous or not. What made the moment sting even more was the contrast. Van Der Beek, once seen as the poster boy of sensitivity and boy-next-door charm, was now being forced to market nostalgia just to cover the costs of staying alive. To some, it was a powerful symbol of resilience. To others, it looked like Hollywood tragedy at its rawest, a star reduced to selling his own past just to fund his future. Either way, the image was unforgettable. James Van Der Beek, the former golden boy of Capeside, stood not on a red carpet but behind a line of throwback merch, proving that fame doesn't guarantee security and that even heartthrobs grow older, sicker, and more vulnerable than the characters they once played. And perhaps that's the real controversy. Is Van Der Beek's merch line a clever reinvention born from necessity, or a heartbreaking reminder of how far and how fast the mighty can fall? From abuse allegations to health scares, from televised heartbreak to selling nostalgia to pay for survival, James Van Der Beek's story has become a messy mix of courage, tragedy, and controversy. The big question is he rewriting his legacy, or is Hollywood rewriting him? Only time will tell. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.